there is a man, 21. His name is Choi Myung-seok, but we're going to call him Michael. He actually started working at the shoe store in the Sampoong department store. He was studying architecture, but he just needed to make some extra money on the side. And he was on his shift when everything went dark. He didn't even have 20 seconds to run. Nothing registered in him. It was just lights out, literally, figuratively. When he woke back up, everything was pitch black. He was laying on cold concrete. He's basically boxed in by concrete. He couldn't move. On the sides of him, there was concrete. Above him, there was concrete. Below him, concrete. He just had to lay there in a fetal position, having no idea what had just happened. There was no light, no food, no water. He tried to kind of push up against the jagged concrete, but he was worried that any sort of movement would cause the concrete to completely crush him. Even the air supply felt stale, dusty, and limited. The panic starts to kick in. He's like getting claustrophobia. And in any other situation, I think that this would have been terrifying. But he started hearing a woman's screams. And she's screaming, "Save me! Save me!" He said that he felt kind of happy that he wasn't alone in the dark. So he starts screaming back, "Hello?" There were now two voices responding back at him. So one was Lee Sung-yeon, a 25-year-old woman that worked in the kitchenware shop, also on the first basement floor, and an ajumani. So that's like an older auntie customer.
So these are a lot of like basement workers, right?
Yes.
Is it because there's a higher chance of survival? Oh
Everyone on floors 1 through 5, unless they were out of the building, they would die. So they were all trapped. Just like Michael, the ajumani, the woman, they're all trapped. The ajumani could barely talk because she was actively being squashed by the concrete, like on her chest.
Ajumani is
the customer.
She's
an
an
older
old-
woman. Yeah. I would say maybe like 50s, 60s. And she told them in all these gasp breaths, like, "There's a heavy piece of concrete on my chest. I can't talk." So the two, Michael and the other kitchen shop worker, they tried to help her not panic so that she's not going to hyperventilate, because there's no way for her to even like take in a big breath of air. So in small breaths, in very kind of like she's drowning, she tells the others, "My daughter turned 30 this year." And there was just this lingering silence, because it's a reminder of everything that was outside. And they don't know what to say to that. So they fall silent. Michael feels these tears coming down the sides of his face. And he says, "Then let's get out alive." And the three promised each other, "Okay, us three, we're going to get out alive." And then everything went black again. Michael and the others, they kept falling asleep, coming to, falling asleep, passing out. I wonder if it's the air supply that was cutting them off. It was hard to even gauge how long they had been in there. Michael asked the others, "Hello? How long have we been in here?" The 25-year-old worker responded, but her voice sounded really weak. "I think a day, maybe 2. I don't know. It feels like a week." "Ajumani, are you okay?" Silence. And then they started panicking. "Ajumani, you have to wake up. You gotta wake up. Your daughter just turned 30. Michael would never hear her voice again. She was gone, and she would never get to see her daughter turn 31. Not long after, the 25-year-old kitchen worker called out for Michael and said, "Michael? Yeah? I think I'm gonna go now. Please tell my family I love them." Michael said that after that, the fear of death had never been so strong. Like, he could almost taste it. It gripped his entire being. He said it's very hard to explain. He had never felt anything like that. He was all alone. The two others that had, quote, survived, they were now dead. He felt like it was only a matter of time until he died, but it's a slow, agonizing wait. He started feeling delusional from the anxiety, the hunger, and then all of a sudden, he just felt so thirsty. He didn't even feel scared anymore. It was all he could think about was water, thirst. It's like he was going crazy. Right at that time, someone answered his prayers. While he was feeling delirious, water started dripping onto his head. He didn't even know if he was dreaming. He genuinely thought, am I hallucinating? Like, you know, when you see the lakes at the desert and you keep walking towards it? He thought it was that. But he scooted so that the water would drip directly into his mouth instead of his forehead. And he started drinking the disgusting water that was dripping into his mouth. He felt around with his hands in the dark, and there were these few pieces of like dusty, I don't even want to call it like paper, more like cardboard boxes. And he grabbed them, wet them in the water, and he slowly laid there, ripping it, shoving it in his mouth, chewing and eating it. He was so desperate to just fill his stomach with anything that acid was just killing him. Now, side note, the water that he's drinking and that he's wetting this paper with, it's not fresh water or even tap water. It has been through layers of concrete, dust, rust, and that's if there's no dead bodies on top of him. It was very risky water, but he had no choice. And that is what he would do for the next 11 days. That's almost 2 full weeks. In silence, alone in the dark, eating rusty, wet paper.